For those that are online, we are waiting for one other member of our board to arrive in about 5 to 7 minutes, that we have a quorum. So as soon as we're ready to start, we'll let you know. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. My name is Cindy Watson. I am the vice chair. Our chair this evening, Kate Darlington, is not able to make it, so I'm going to sit in on position here and try to make her proud. I'm going to do my best here. So this is a special meeting that we are calling for PLN 23-056 Orchard Mesa Estates Phase 2. I believe we have the owner on a Zoom call. Do we have anybody else on a Zoom call? Okay, so the owner, John Peter, or excuse me, Ronald Klein is on the phone. Is that correct on the Zoom?
Yep, I'm here.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being patient this evening.
Thank you.
So we're going to get started. We're going to do roll call first, and we're going to go through some approval of some notes, and then we'll get started. So if we could start off roll call, Lane, if you would start us off, please.
Lane Bruns, Surface Creek.
Matt Clark, District 1.
Todd Queen, District 1.
Tony Moss, North Fork. Everett Neal, Code Compliance.
Brittany Hayne, Planning Tech.
Kate Kirk, planner.
Hardy Hutto, District 2, Surface Creek.
Cindy Watson, Vice Chair, District 1. So we have several meeting notes that Brittany was so gracious about gathering and putting together. You all saw in your packets. They go back as far as October 23rd to the last meeting that we had. And we do need to have a motion to approve these. If you have a certain set of meeting notes that you have specifics on and we're not ready yet to approve, you need to let us know. So everyone got these in their packet and their email, and I would need to have a motion to approve in a second on these, please, if you choose to.
I move we approve them as written.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. So Brittany, thank you for putting those together for us. We greatly appreciate it.
Sorry, it was a big chunk.
But I appreciate us keeping on that for sure.
No problem.
So pretty much on the public, how we start is that we're going to have a brief outline here. I believe Brittany's going to give us the outline on the recommendations. And then from there, we will have just some discussion amongst us. We will open it up to anybody that's come this evening. We just need to make sure if you're willing or wanting to speak that you have signed this clipboard. Todd?
And all in favor on the motion.
Do we need all in favor on that if everybody was to approve it? Just or not, ladies?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate that. So we had Lane approve them. We had Hardy seconded. All in favor, say aye. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Todd. So anybody this evening that is wanting to speak, we would need to make sure your name is on this board. When you do get up, if you decide to speak, we would need you very clearly to state your name and your address, please, so that we can have that for record when you do that. Has everybody signed this little sign in that would like to speak? Thank you. Okay. Okay, so Ms. Brittany, let's get started with you if we could on the staff report and go from there.
Sorry, it's not going.
That's right, take your time.
All right, so this is for PLN 23-056 Orchard Mesa Estates Phase 2. This is to consider a preliminary subdivision, subdividing 16.20 acres in the UGA zoning district into 4 lots, which is a preliminary plat. The property is located on the west side of Running Deer Road in Orchard City. So here's the introduction. As I said that it was 16.20 acres. It is zoned in the UGA. There is a minimum square feet for lot size. So for the preliminary plat, there's 4 lots proposed in this phase. So there's lot 3 is 2.03 acres. Lot 14 is 1.76 acres. Lot 15 is 1.76 acres. Lot 16 is 1.62 acres. Access is off of Lilac Court, which is a private road, privately maintained. Domestic water will be through Orchard City, however, no taps have been purchased at this time. Here you'll see the vicinity map. It is right outside of Orchard City's town limits. Here you'll see the zoning map. This is in the UGA. Again, Orchard City is right next to it with a little bit of A20 as well. So here's the preliminary plat. We have it shown in the phases. So phase 1 is this orange colored. These phases are lots were already complete for phase 1. Green is phase 2, which we are currently looking at. So it would be for the 4 lots. Phase 3 is in the blue. That would be the next future phase, and phase 4 would be in the purple. All right, so staff recommendations. Staff recommends approval for the conditions, approval shall expire and plat is, that doesn't even make any sense. Sorry.
Start that over.
Approval shall expire within the 12 months from the date of the preliminary plat approval if
So approved. So the final plat needs to be submitted within 12 months from the preliminary plat approval by the Board of County Commissioners. If it is not, then it's considered vacated and they will need to start over.
Great job, Brittany. That's what I was.
So sorry.
Exactly.
words are hard today.
Okay. Get back. Okay.
All right. All existing and proposed easements and encumbrance, so shared access, water delivery shall be shown on the final plat. Label all water taps within the subdivision on the final plat. The final plat shall include the parcel numbers of the adjoining properties as well as the existing road conditions for abutting roads to satisfy county engineering. Deeds will need to be submitted with legal descriptions of each new lot. Standard plat notes be required by the 2021 land use code. And the public sites, which will be the open space fees, will need to be paid for each lot. So with that, staff recommends that the PC recommends that the BOCC find that PLN 23-056 Orchard Mesa Estates Phase 2 is consistent with the applicable policies of the 2018 master plan and complies with the requirements of the 2021 land use code for preliminary subdivision, preliminary plat, and conditionally approve PLN 23-056 Orchard Mesa Estates Phase 2, a 4-lot subdivision subject to conditions. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, so we're gonna open it up first to the commission to ask questions of the staff report. So Hardy, do you want to start? I see your hand up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So get this straight, they're just getting 4 lots right now, but then they're gonna come back and subdivide each one of those again.
So they're phasing it, so it's a phase plan. So phase 1 was already complete.
And you can subdivide the subdivision?
What do you mean?
I thought I read somewhere where like you subdivide, you can't
So
subdivide on top of it.
if you look up on that left-hand corner, phase 1 is complete. So it says 1 and 2. Phase 2 is the current phase that we're talking about. Then there's the future phase, and then there's another, just to help you, Hardy, it's kind of small print, but that's where it is in that left-hand corner.
And then one other question is you said it's right on Orchard City's town limits,
Mhm.
and they don't want, they like intergovernmental agreement, they want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, not that we are aware of.
Did you ask them?
No.
Okay. That's it for now.
Other questions of the staff, please?
So our packet says that it's a 5 subdivision lot.
Yes, that
Yes.
was my error.
Thank you.
Again, it's a phasing plan, so I was under the understanding that the remaining lots, so which would be the future phases, would be as a remainder. So we're bringing it to you as one, it is as phase two, but if you approve it, then we won't have to come back for the future phases, correct?
Correct.
So it is a 4, but it is as phased. So you don't have to see this application again.
It just seems confusing that we're taking 16 acres down to like 8. It's like, well, does that other 9 acres become the 5th parcel in the subdivision?
So, excuse me. I believe this property is split by taxing districts. Which also has a part in how we got to calculations. If you look at our GIS mapping, everything in that purple, actually, you can see it on there. So that dashed line that goes on lot 6 and 11, that's your split between your taxing districts. So on the assessor site, the GIS website, it is as 2 parcels, but they are still 1 parcel, if that makes sense. So this is new for Brittany, and we got kind of thrown into it, but with phasing, we bring each phase to you guys so that you can approve it as a whole, but the only ones being subdivided at this point in time are lots 3, 14, 15, and 16. So then, once they finish that phase, they can come back for the second phase and the third phase. Is how that would work.
3, 14, 15, 16, gotcha.
A little small, but can you read it?
I wish I could.
Now it's making sense.
Everybody can see up that left-hand corner on the board, the phasing.
Right, yeah,
Just wanna make
right.
sure y'all can see. Other questions of the staff from our commission? Todd, did you get your question answered, sir? Okay. Lane?
Reading through this irrigating water. Then it's very muddy. And
No pun intended.
to use Vietnam era vernacular, it's a classic foobar. I mean, you don't know how much water you're getting, only if there's some available. It doesn't sound to me like they have head gates on the 2 ditches that they're getting water from. And they really don't know what happens to the tailwater.
So Lane,
I think that ought to be all.
you're gonna have a minute where we can address the applicant in just a moment on that question. So if you would
Okay.
hold that question.
Certainly.
Okay, Mr. Matt, do you have any questions, sir? Currently?
I'd be concerned why Orchard Mesa doesn't want to pull in.
Orchard City, yeah.
Orchard City, yeah,
Could have got intergovernment agreement, so.
okay,
For the stoppings.
okay. Tony, did you have any question? I want to leave you out at the end there, sir. Any questions you might have?
Just water taps. I want to know if they're actually available and if they can start telling, because I know Orchard City is having water trouble.
Good question.
Yeah, because I think that's what I saw up there, that the taps had not been yet secured, correct? Okay, so
So I got another dumb question. Is it subdivision already been built? Is the road, utilities and all that's in there and it's been sitting there for the last 20 years? Is that the one we're messing with?
Grand Mesa discount.
Oh, and then, okay.
And there's
okay, Hardy, you've already spoke. Any additional questions before? Okay, so this is the time, as the applicant, if you would like to present anything, you can, and then our commission board can ask you questions directly. And I think John Peters, correct, sir?
Yes.
If you would like to approach us here, and make sure you state your full name and your address for us, please.
Good evening,
Good evening.
John Peters, 112 Village Square West, Ridgeway, Colorado, 81432. I'm the applicant, also the planner. There's part in the staff report that says I'm a surveyor. I wasn't a surveyor, but I'm here to answer questions. I can give you a little brief history on the project if you'd like. This was a subdivision that was originally 70 lots back before the recession. The recession hit, we built the existing road that basically goes up to about where the blue ends. So the road is there paved. We brought in all the utilities. We have gas, water, electrical, telephone, and we have irrigation system that was put in place. And we have CCNR's covenants for the property as well as water share agreements with the property owners. And we also have some water share that we have for that are deeded for part of the land and actually we're how do I put it? We have a water sharing agreement with the neighbors to the south. Okay, so to answer the question that is paved, all the utilities are then, this is a phased remaining 16 lots. It was originally a 35 acre, just about 35 acres, a little over 35 acres parcel that we bought or my client owns from the Nichols to the north. So this is phase 2 of an overall 16 lot subdivision. And in terms of the irrigation is, there's a water line that was done through the Soil Conservation Corps many years ago that takes water out of Surface Creek and delivers to a series of property owners. The project was put in because there was, let's call it, there was some water concerns about the neighbors and who's got what rights. And so they had head gates and they weren't, they'd be turned off and moved. So now that we have a water pipe system from Surface Creek that goes back to Running Deer Road, follows Running Deer Road and comes into what used to be the Elk Ridge subdivision done way back. That's been abandoned. So the water was still there, and what the property owners did said, okay, let's get rid of the old subdivision, and now we just have this water agreement. So it's all gravity fed. It goes into homes to the very north of the series that was part of the Elk Ridge or Elk Springs, Elk Ridge, I think it was subdivision. So we have a gate and a distribution system there, a big box, irrigation box, and then the water goes from the box down through to the Nichols properties, down through to ours, and down through what was Turner's, which is now a new owner. And that was all gravity fed, and the operating was we have a series of gates that are on the Holmes property, the series of gates on the Nichols that open up and irrigates different fields. As it comes into our subdivision, there's a series of gates that we put in that we turn on and off. It's all gravity fed. So when Jennifer needs her water, she shuts off a valve and then waters her one field, and then she opens it up and waters the next field, and it just kind of marches down. We have a 2/7 rights to that water that's in that pipe. And that's shared between us and the property to the south. And we have a water agreement of when you can take, we get 2 days and they get 3 days. So what we did is we installed a irrigation system where we turn off a gate at our southern border, series of gates actually, and then the water backs up and then fills the distribution line that we have that are running into the roads and feeds the different lots. We have a stub out coming up. We have a restricted size orifice on that so that everyone can get a portion of water and not be taking it all. So it can only take so much on. They're allowed to put a pump on that system and pump water into a cistern to store it, or when it's available, they can just irrigate with that. So we actually have a pretty sophisticated system in terms of not just opening and closing a gate for each and every lot. We have a pressure that pressurizes because of the gravity feed for our irrigation systems. We were having a little trouble with getting water after for the property owners, just in terms of use and what gates need to be open above in order to get water into our thing. When we were working with the Nichols, with Bob Nichols, as you see in a letter there from Jennifer, We built a structure on our property, along the north property that picks up the tailwater that just, comes out of one side of their property. And we picked that up and we added it back into into our irrigation system. So we pick up the tailwater on top of the decreed water. And then we have for the future file, we have another area where the tailwater comes in that will build similar structure in the latter phases, on the end phases, and part of the blue that'll pick up more water of the tailwater. So we'll have that availability. We have the full rights of all the tailwater for our subdivision. And then whatever's left over gets on the tailwater gets back into the system and gets to the property to the south.
So Mr. Peters, you have lot 3, 14, 15, and 16 we're talking about tonight. I believe lot 3 is the largest of the 4 at 2.3 acres, correct? Do you feel, based on your irrigation watering plan, do you feel that is adequate for these individuals to have enough water that they're gonna need to serve lawns or whatever they decide? Do you think that your system, the way that you have it set up?
For their use, if they want to try to put if they put a lawn in, right, they're gonna need to collect water. And for the days that they don't have water, so they'd have a cistern in order to water for it. If they want to put, like a garden in, a large garden and things like,
Right.
for agricultural purposes, they're limited to a certain amount of water.
But do you have a clear irrigation schedule? The people with these 4 lots.
Yeah, we have a covenant that talks about. Yeah, and this one's a water share agreement with the neighbors to the south. And then that's offsite and us. And then there is a water covenant that was given to all the each property gets along with their what do you call it? Their CCNRs or their covenants.
See. About the irrigation.
It's a lot more clear than red.
Do you have any specific questions for Mr. Peters?
Not this time.
Thank you for being so thorough. Tony, I think you had a question about road and utilities, or did that get addressed at the very beginning? Okay, good. Matt, did you have a question, sir?
Back to yours about the sufficiency of the water property. Are they gonna have to sprinkle if they put pasture in, will that have to be sprinkled, or it's not enough here to flood irrigate?
What's the decree on the water? What do you have that way?
Yeah,
Well, we have a series of, it's a water right sharing agreement. And what we have, is undivided interest, 2/5 interest in the undivided 1/2 interest with Howard Ditch. It's all spelled out
Right.
of where it is. And that was done through an agreement with the neighbors to the south. And we had water that we were given to the neighbor to the south when we had a cooperating agreement between them. When we bought the land from the Nichols, which this is part of, they retained 1/5 of what was allocated for that land. So Jennifer has 2/5 water, because there was 5 lots. So each one got 1/5. And each one just, takes turns using that water. And so when we purchased this portion of the overall subdivision that's no longer there, they retained 1/5 that was there. We had 2/5 that were allocated to the south that we owned the water rights. We bought the water rights as a separate deed, and then through the negotiations on the original subdivision, we now have a sharing agreement of 3 days and 2 days, or 3 days and 4 days, or whatever.
Rotation of some kind.
Rotation of the remaining 2/5 of that were allocated. So,
That's-
are they guaranteed water throughout the entire year? No.
No, you can't.
So they get water when they got it and when they're available, and they're entitled to using that Is it gonna water if someone put in the entire 2 acre lawn? Probably not, you know, they may be able to store enough water, you know, in a big enough cistern that they could, you know, take it while they can, so it's, but they do have water.
I think Mr. Hardy had a
You
follow-up
have,
question.
you have to bring water to the table to get the water taps, or how you working through that?
Water taps were an original agreement with the town of Orchard City that was still in effect from years ago. It's a contract that we had a right to purchase up to 70 taps at that time.
Would you
And-
bring any water to them, like an acre foot? Or
No, we already paid for all that.
You already did?
We gave them all our, we had to give them so much water shares that we had purchased with the original purchase agreement from Peacemakers. And we deliver that to them and paid cash. So we have already paid for all those water rights. We have to pay the $15,000 to have them put the tap in.
Do you have all the paperwork for that?
Yes, it was all originally done, and it was Mayor Supus at the time, who's commissioner now. First it was,
Do we have that paperwork, Kate?
yeah, we gave a complete package of all the documents in our submittal when we did the original, came back with the 16 lots. And I can pull it up.
It's easy though, I mean, it's conditioned,
Yeah,
as long as that's there and
Right, and I do need to step in for just a minute, like, I want you guys to remember that your job is not to adjudicate the water,
that's right.
because we don't have jurisdiction over it.
Correct.
So I don't want a lot of questions getting into the weeds about the specificity of the water, because there is a decree. Excuse me, and an agreement with Orchard City.
That
or
makes sense.
Cedar Ridge.
Does anybody have any other questions,
There's-
further
there's
questions of Mr.
intergovernmental
Peters?
too, that might be like right
And a large section of our packet has to do with it's about the water issue.
now. Yeah,
So, I mean,
and the intergovernmental.
And I hear that, but we still cannot adjudicate water, we can't.
We can make
require
recommendations.
that.
We just can't adjudicate and we cannot do anything beyond that. That would be the Board of County Commissioners, Todd, that would have that overall say. So based on where we're at and the questions that we had about some irrigation, some roads, et cetera, does anyone have any other questions of Mr. Peters left as the applicant? Okay, Mr. Peters, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Klein on the phone. Do we want to ask him if he had any questions? Or have we lost him?
No, he's
Is
still
he still
there.
there? This,
No, I'm here, but I think John has answered everything. I don't really have anything to add unless there's a.
okay, I just want to make sure you didn't think we forgot about you.
No, I'm just trying to hear everybody. It's a little hard, but
Perfect.
I'm listening.
Are you able to hear us clearly on the phone?
Yes, most people, some of the soft talk's hard, but that's okay, I think.
Okay, we'll try to speak up a little bit then for you, sir.
That's
Okay.
okay, thank you.
So this is the time we have for some public comment. If you have signed this clipboard and you would like to speak, you may do so. You would have to state your name, your full address, and let us know you wish to speak.
Just to be clear, it's on this application, not.
Yes, on this application only.
I can go through the names, but we can read.
Okay, your name, sir,
Kelly Rose,
your full address, sir.
20260 Doe Circle,
Okay,
Eckerd, Colorado, 81418.
thank you. Appreciate that, sir.
My concern is I live right across the street from the entrance to your subdivision. And I know the long history that goes with it and all that, but I'm kind of wanting to know how far the county is gonna let it go before some things have to be done to Running Deer Road, entrances off the highway, something. Because that was back in the original deal, that was all part of this. And now it's been scaled down to a smaller subdivision, but still. And then as I understand, the road's not permitted, something like that, there's 65, I'm just kind of questioning what that means.
Let's see if the staff maybe can enlighten us. a
My
little bit.
property is along the edge of it, so I'm kind of concerned.
Okay, well, Mr. Rose, let's see if they can enlighten us a little bit on that.
I unfortunately don't have any information on that, as I was not part of those conversations with CDOT.
Okay.
So Robbie was the one that reached out to, this CDOT,
Okay.
employee, based on the first comments that were submitted to the county about the road not being permitted, to access off of the highway. There was some mix up, with who's, if it's Orchard City or if it's the county or if it's the applicant. So after we received the second email, or Robbie received the second email, the county is in contact with CDOT and has an access permit to get that portion permitted from CDOT.
Okay.
So we are working on it and we are aware of the issue. So it is being taken care of. I think county engineering is maybe working with, I don't really know, with Orchard City to see who's,
Whose jurisdiction it is,
Correct,
or,
yeah.
okay, is that what this is all about?
yeah,
Okay.
so because it is half and half in both. It's half in the county, half in the town, so they are working on getting that fixed.
I live in Orchard City, actually, and my
Right.
address is Eckerd, but we are in Orchard City.
Correct.
And then across Running Deer is Delta County.
Where are you at compared to this map right here?
Oh, straight across from the inlet is my cul-de-sac. If you look at the bigger, like this one here, we're on, we're R022141. They're on, like this screen here is.
Do you have a
different.
pointer, Brittany, you can show us where that's at?
Yeah, it's right.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there he is, I got it, okay.
I'm right there on, I'm running.
You're right on the board, okay?
So
Well, like I say, we're kind of concerned with what's gonna go on with the road and the bridge and
What are
all that kind of stuff before. Well, how many lots are they gonna let them develop before they have to actually do something, or? We're gonna say another 50 cars on the roads, all right, every day, you know, we're kind of questioning. Cause I know in the original agreement with the county, that was supposed to take place after so long. After so many lots sold in that subdivision, they were supposed to do work on Running Deer Road, the bridge and the highway. So I'm wondering how that changed over the period of years and, you know, I mean, I don't mind the development, don't get me wrong, you're not gonna stop development and everybody, you know, this fellow bought this property, he wants to make money, I understand all that, that's great. But at some point you gotta say, hey, you know, we gotta do something here, cause this is like.
It's in the application. Are we deciding who's got the jurisdiction of with, is that what I'm assuming, Brittany? So it sounds to me like that is something that's being addressed.
Okay.
And if he needed further information about that, is that something he would follow back up with somebody here at the?
I would say either Robbie or county engineering. Possibly CDOT. I don't know how much they're gonna comment on it until we figure out our end,
Okay,
based on what I'm reading.
So from the packet we got though, it says that CDOT did respond and they say that there will be a traffic study and CDOT
Right.
says permit application required. So I mean, clearly that.
tells us that they're in the works of doing something.
Okay, well,
So it sounds like they're.
I'm getting some of my questions answered, you're right, but
Well, that's what
I
I,
mean, and you know, like, we're concerned, cause we're like.
Sure.
Property owners right there, so I wanna know, you know, kind of what goes on in the future, or
sure.
if there's gonna be another meeting that decides some of this stuff.
Well, tonight what we'll do is, as a group, we'll decide what direction we're gonna go with. If we happen to pass this, then it would go then to the Board of County Commissioners. They make the final decisions, they make the final recommendations. All we can do is make a recommendation and they can decide whether or not that recommendation warrants them addressing it.
Well, I really appreciate the board hearing my concerns.
We appreciate you being here tonight. Did we help you out a little bit, Mr. Rose, on some stuff or?
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
like I say, I'm kind of known a lot about this over the years, but I don't mind the development, like I said, I'm to.
John
Having
Peters
into that,
is the applicant and Mr. Klein is on the phone and he's the owner.
Peters. When this original thing was first built, I was on the Circus Creek Area Planning Committee. And can you tell me how long ago that was? I don't remember. About 20 years.
2006. I'm gonna say it's gotta be over 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, at the time, there was supposed to be a permitted access out Highway 65. How come that's never happened?
So, in that original, application and approval, we were conditioned to go up to so many lots before we had to do anything.
Have you sold that amount of lots?
And that is, we're fulfilling this now. After that, we will have to do a supply traffic study and, deal with the intersection.
Okay,
And, what that looks like, originally it was 70 lots, so there was a bigger impact. But, so we will be in our next phase, needing to address CDOT with a traffic study. The original, the running gear itself, we did have some requirements about doing some chip resurfacing, chip seals. That was done by the county and the town. What was that, 10 years ago, maybe? The new chip seal, and they came in and resurfaced.
Yeah, it's gonna be. at
So
least-
that requirement was fulfilled, they just did it, because no one was doing anything, we put that one away. And the town and the county have a joint maintenance agreement in place for doing these roads. And I'm not sure what that really looks like, but it's a dual jurisdiction of the owner of that road. The county line goes right down the center of running.
Is that including the Lilac? Is that a
Lilac
private road
Road
or
is
you
private
maintain?
road that we put in, we paved it.
You
They
maintain it?
maintain it.
Did it to the county standards and we maintain it.
You maintain it.
And, the Go lane across, street, the cul-de-sac there, I'm not sure, that was done by the.
Okay. Mr. Rose, do you have any,
We
before we let you
maintain a
go?
cul-de-sac, but running deer is maintained by Orchard City, has been, or the county, one of the two plow it. So
Okay.
it's not like it doesn't go unplowed or something.
Anybody have any other further questions for Mr. Rose? Mr. Rose, thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you letting
We
me.
also had a Juliana Rose, would you like to speak or not? No, thank you. No, okay, well, thank you for signing your name up, appreciate that. Okay, and Charles, did you?
Not on this matter.
Not on this matter, okay. So anyone else have anything on this specific subdivision that we're talking about right now that would like to speak? Okay, so we're gonna close it off to the public then. Let's go back to our board and let's go around any further deliberation that we have, questions.
Have lot one and lot two been developed?
Yeah.
So in the CDOT attachment, it says that the owner's concerns were that an access permit would not apply until the fifth home was constructed. And with these 4 lots, we would surpass that fifth home, so that would apply in this application.
Mhm.
Right, okay, just make sure I was clear on that.
That'd be a condition.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
So we got,
Tony, you have anything you want to add, sir?
no, just want to make sure they got their water taps, which sounds like.
It sounds like they do. Mhm. Okay, Matt?
On the road access, do they at this point in time need to provide for that permit? So I mean, that's what Todd is saying.
Your condition, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys can add a specific condition for it, but based on comments from CDOT, they're wanting something to be figured out based on Running Deer Road. Before they. I mean, somebody has to apply for the permit, whether it's the county, whether it's Orchard City, whether it's the developer, the applicant, I mean, that's what needs to be figured out.
Mhm.
In our land use code, this is spelled out.
This is under the 2021
Yes.
land use code. And like I said, there's been lots of communications that I have not been part of, so I don't have specific answers for all of this.
So I think that needs to be addressed and pinpoint who is going to be applying for that test code. We just no more finger pointing.
And why would the county or the city do it really? I mean, they're good the way it is right now. So, obviously. Somebody needs to do it, developer probably. That's where I've always seen it done. Yeah.
Okay, Matt, you're
I
satisfied?
I can't really hear the secondary comments there.
Oh, you can't hear the secondary comments that we're deliberating amongst ourselves right now, so it's closed off to the public, sir. But we'll try to speak up a little louder so you can hear, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's my only comment, that we identify who's going to apply for that access permit.
Okay.
Take all the ambiguity out of it.
Okay. Lane?
I agree with the last statement. Like I said, I was sitting in the ABC at the time we approved that. And that access has not improved in 20 years. And it's kind of dangerous. It's kind of Mickey Mouse. I wouldn't be proud of that access to my housing development. And I think it's kind of a, if you're not familiar with the area, you come upon it real quick. You don't know whether you're going into crop works or you're going down a running deer road. And I think that there should be signage, and I think it ought to be paved. And I think there should be like warning signs along the highway, you know, that this access is coming up. And if they're going to develop 4 or 5 more homes, there's gonna be a lot of construction traffic up and down that road, and that access should be top priority in my estimation.
Well, I'm just gonna make a quick comment. A week ago, I hauled 20 loads of gravel out of Benson Brothers to the base of the Grand Mesa in a dump truck. The traffic on 65 is nuts,
It's terrible.
and it is a little spooky.
I agree.
And drivers have gotten a lot worse in the last 20 years.
So that's a recommendation though, Tony, that we can, you know, I mean, same with Lane. I mean, if you, as we put a motion forward.
And I know turn lanes and I know all that add a lot of expense to this thing, but I also have a really, really good friend that's dead because there wasn't turn lanes.
20 years ago, I was a road deputy in that area, and you couldn't hardly find a car on that highway. Now you gotta wait your turn to get out on the road, and it's, that highway is not designed for the traffic that's using it right now. And there needs to be adequate warning signs if no turning lane is gonna be involved.
Tom?
Based on the 2021 land use code, how do we determine whether a level 1, level 2, or level 3 traffic study will be required?
So county engineering is the one who determines that for the county roads. And it's based off of a percentage threshold. I believe they go off of the traffic counts in the area, so based on what you're proposing to develop. And the traffic counts that are there, if you increase that by, it's 20%. Then it bumps it up to that level 2. The level 3, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know that I've ever seen a level 3 done, or required. But as with CDOT, I'm not sure what they're looking at. I know they have their 5th house threshold that it does require those traffic studies for them, but I don't know the details on what they want to see.
So based on the table here, it shows that for a level 2 study, if this application will require that there is an indication that the CDOT access permit will be required, so that would fall in the developer, correct? That'd be part of their application.
I would assume so.
And just doing a PDOT access off of Highway 65 is not enjoyable, but they do their own traffic studies. And they did it all for a single 1 home access.
So if this thing is what we're doing right now, then if he wants to go more, it's gotta come back to here? Or no, this is it?
No,
For 60
so
For the whole.
that's the whole point of the phasing, so
I mean-
it comes all to you, and you ask,
So we gotta look at it like there's all those lots in there coming off Highway 65 right now, coming off Running Deer Road, not just 4. And
I mean,
then,
essentially,
Essentially, yes.
it's, the board is the one that has the final
yeah,
decision making
obviously, but they're
authority
calling us
for
to be
each
here. I
phase.
mean, they were hollering at me pretty hard to be here. I mean, I can go home anytime. It doesn't matter to me. I'm sure Todd.
But that's a recommendation. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to think about this in a whole. That's a good point that Hardy made, is that we're not just looking at, these 4 these 4
No,
tonight.
it's not a recommendation to approve just the 4, it's
Right.
phase.
It's all phases, so pay attention to that as we're,
One thing I got is, when a year or so ago, when we fired off that. Any subdivisions, other phases, blah, 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 come to the table and we'll look at them. I remember we did that. All the phase 2, 3s and.
You mean, they have to go to the board of county commissioners
Yes.
for each phase.
definitely.
We're not, so this is the all new stuff. We're not dealing with like an old subdivision looking at another phase, because remember, we just did this a year ago or a year and a half ago. We put it out to Delta County, any subdivision out there that had a phase 2 or 3, came to here
So
and do it. Was that in this?
the original application was vacated by the board, and that's why they reapplied.
Back again. It's just
Right.
work that's already prior done.
For the road, yes, for sure. And then I believe some of the utilities.
But what Kate is saying is that this is not gonna get back in front of us. When they get ready for this next future phases, they'll go back in front of the Board of County Commissioners. They won't come back in front of us. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay,
So I just got dumb questions.
no?
This is all zoned residential. No light industrial, no,
I mean, it's zoned under the 21 code is the urban growth area.
That's right.
So
Well,
that's,
yeah,
well, no, I mean,
If- are you-
it's residential. And they can have their boat and their camper and their whatever, or is it,
It is.
I mean, if
or
you're-
can they run a small business off of one of these lots and have 10 lawnmowers, 3 trailers?
Yeah, they can, because it's UGA. If you look up what UGA is,
Right,
So
but
they can
so-
run light industrial off these lots.
they can.
that's right. They have to apply. They
they
gotta-
can't-
But,
But also they're like, it's completely up to the developer and the landowner. If whatever they wanna place on there, if they say no commercial uses whatsoever,
Right,
that is for them to enforce. If somebody comes to
Okay, so
apply for
bring-
something,
has been building stuff in Delta County 30 years. Right now, I can tell you 5 subdivisions that the owners that live in there got together, got rid of the HOA, got rid of the covenants, and got rid of everything. And it is now whatever you want it to be. And then nobody enforces anything.
we
So
don't,
if we go. So if we go back to the traffic thing, that may be a concern. How do we regulate that? I mean, I know it's probably not the county's place, but what are we doing to? I mean, I'm just telling you what I'm seeing.
I mean, if there is something.
1 second, sir, we're
That-
not able to bring you back in.
Somebody on one of these lots wants to apply for commercial type business. They would still have to go through CDOT, because that access would be permitted through CDOT.
There you go.
That is their jurisdiction, especially based on how many lots they are proposing, but their covenant,
Things in UGA, can you pull up the UGA, you can do in UGA, it's not just a residential house.
Right,
Without
so
all this
it-
Crazy stuff.
even though it's zoned
So,
UGA, it, with the land use code,
residential subdivision, let's make it a residential subdivision.
but you can't do that with the code.
Yeah.
That, if the zoning designation allows for certain uses.
Yeah.
Per the zoning designation, but they still have to apply for the proper permit.
Brittany, are you able to pull up a UGA by any chance on your system?
Got it right now.
But you have to remember too, the covenants is also, I know what you're saying, that they can get together as a group and decide to have a quorum and decide to change a covenant or to add something in a covenant. They can do that, but I think we have to be really careful about maybe getting too thick in the weeds on it, you know what I'm saying?
We're not talking about covenants, we're talking, I
Yeah.
wanna talk about UGA and what's in this land use code right now, I mean, that's what I'd like to talk about, considering there's 16 lots. I mean, a little different than I was kinda. On the 4 lot, that's why I was tripped up early on, I think it was my second question. Are we doing 4 lots or 16? Well, we're doing 16, so the neighbors, do have I mean, there's some impact there, and I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done, but I
Ask
think it needs to
Peter
be
what
looked
kind
at.
of covenants they've got.
Ask him what?
Ask him what kind of covenants they've got governing this something.
Give that stuff.
That is up to you.
I just have a quick question for you, Mr. Peters, on covenants. Do you have, what I would call a restrictive set of covenants or a protective set of covenants?
Yes, we do, and it's for tenant for residential only.
Residential only, so there's no businesses out of a home.
I think we have a home occupation.
So like if I was a realtor, or if I did books, I could do that, I just couldn't have clients come and hang up signage and stuff like that.
I have them here.
Okay, that's usually how it's set up.
But I will say the covenants do have to be enforced by those involved in that subdivision, otherwise
That's right,
there's no
and
enforcement.
we don't enforce covenants,
Okay,
somewhere where it says that.
Covenants is like, means nothing.
And we don't enforce HOAs, we don't do any of that. That's what they have their own group of people for.
I was really looking for like the things that UGA is. There's a list of all of us, yeah. It'll
So-
show you pretty.
If I could, right there.
Then, sorry.
So I want to go back to the water a little bit. I know the applicant specified that they had all their water taps secured, but our response from the town of Orchard City specifies that there are no taps installed or applied for, except for lots 1 and 2.
Correct, we have a contract to be able to provide it with Orchard City that is a covenant or a contract that was provided when we did the original 70 lot subdivision in this building price. So we just have to go pay for the tap, so you just can get 15.5 per tap. But we can't buy them until we have finished lots or approved lots.
And you talked to Orchard City and they're all on board.
Recently, like.
The last time we talked to them was probably 4 months ago. That's Ronnie's deal with fees there. Ron, when's the last time you talked to the YC?
It was probably 2 or 3 months ago and they had water taps available, but I can't purchase a tap until I have an approved lot.
Perfect.
Artie, do you have your questions answered about what falls under?
Yeah, I mean, like it said. Automobile fueling or service station allowed.
Yeah, but the covenants.
Yeah, I understand, but
It's
we
not-
can't really look at covenants, because that covenants would go away in 15 minutes.
Um,
That covenants, they don't have a meeting twice a year, boom, it's gone.
We put a mobile home park in there too.
You can't look at covenants, I'm not saying it's. I'm just saying that you need to be aware of that can happen right now. Cause it's allowed right there. That's UGA, and we're doing 16 lots. So, not saying he's gonna do it or anything, but he might sell out to the next guy, and then there's 4 fueling stations in there.
Going across the street, you got a muffler shop, you got another little excavating business, I mean, that little piece of highway right there is a busy little piece of highway.
It is.
So. Their covenants are residential.
Maybe we can condition it to residential only. Cause that's what he's saying he's gonna do. I don't know
You
if
can
that
do
against
that,
the
you
laws
can
or.
put it as a motion.
or, I
You
mean,
can certainly suggest
you can
it, but
certainly
that
suggest
is
it.
going against the land use code.
Okay.
So- Those are, well, regardless, you can't restrict somebody from a use that is in our land use code that they have the right to apply
Yeah,
for.
I hear you.
Okay. So that's probably not.
So Todd, you're saying the traffic study should be done right now?
So based on what I'm seeing in
So
the
we
land
should-
use code, is that if the. The
5,
traffic
yeah.
is gonna be increased by 20%.
We gotta have a-
2 lots, 20% is like 1 more.
We gotta make a decision off of a traffic study, so we need a traffic study, right, to make our decision, that's what I'm thinking, that's what I'm seeing right now. That'd be going against the land use code if we do anything other than that.
Could I address a little bit on this traffic? study, because he actually did some.
That's fine.
Okay. So in 2020, we originally did a traffic study for the original project. In 2023, we did an updated counts on the road with Skip Hudson, turnkey consultants. He worked for CDOT for 16 years. He's an expert. He talked to Brian Flemington with CDOT. And in his findings, we had gone through and looked at the traffic counts and looked for that 20% threshold. And he, in his report, mentions that they could go up to up to 5 total lots without triggering a CDOT permit. And that's where we are proposing. And once we have that, anything above that will trigger a complete a CDOT permitting process. The whole issue on the actual access of Running Deer right now today between the town of Orchard City and the county of Delta County on that road is Brian Killington could not find the original access permit to join that from ever. So there, can't find anything. Now, when we did the original subdivision years ago, there was never an issue about that. So he just says, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Well, Running Deer has been there for a whole lot longer than I've been alive, probably. And so that the original access permit can't be located. So they're trying to figure that out right now, where it is. And Orchard City may have it. It may have been done under Orchard City, but the county of Delta couldn't come up with it yet. But this all came up just a couple weeks ago. So that seems to be what the biggest issue is on Running Deer right now. Will be, and part of the conditions that they're asking for is we will require a full-blown traffic study, whatever that level is, and an access permit for our development once we get past those certain number of lots, when we actually have the impact of what we go next. And
But this phase will exceed that threshold.
no,
You have 2 lots developed, you're adding 4, right?
we're adding 4. And what Skip's study said, he says we can do it up to 5 on the additional. The original one was for 4. I'm sorry, 5 total. But he said we could add 5 more lots, which we're only putting 4 in to trigger that CDOT study.
That's study.
Thing.
I have not seen it.
Do you have that study from Skip Houston in the packet?
No.
We supplied a very large packet of information going all the way back for the history of the project.
Okay.
We just didn't get it. I mean,
That's right. We don't always get the total packet, which we should.
And that letter was written in 2023. It may have just gone to CDOT.
Yeah, it might not have proved the application. Okay. So at least it's been done in 23.
2020, it was,
Irregardless of how many lots would actually trigger a traffic study, just common sense would tell you in the last 20 years, the traffic on the Highway 65 has increased 1,000-fold. And there's a hell of a good chance of accidents happening right and left if you get a lot of construction and more people living off that. And that's a bad spot. From the north, you got a pretty good sight of view. Coming from the south, it's a whole different story. And until that intersection is fixed properly, I'd be worried about okayness for me, just my viewpoint.
160 cars, I believe.
So, Mr. Peters, I think we're gonna finish up our deliberation
Okay.
if we could. Thank you for.
Sorry,
adding that
just wanted to
additional
make sure you-
thing for us. Thank you. Okay, Matt, go ahead, sir.
We just spoke momentarily about treating this as a whole package.
Yes, sir.
All 16 lots
Mhm.
for. And so why don't we recommend to the board, that they insist that the road access permit is built and sized according to that plat.
That's perfectly fine. We could put that in motion. You're sure could.
Well, and Brian Killian with his email to us specifically says that CDOT will require a traffic study and CDOT access.
Yeah. But it sounds like it's already in there that it's going to be required, Todd, is what I read it.
But to
So-
what extent? For 4 more lots?
Well, if they do it, they'll do it for.
Yeah, they're gonna do it for the whole thing. They're gonna be very abreast of what's going on with that for sure.
You can do it twice.
So it sounds like that's something that is going to be addressed. Is there anything else that anybody needs to deliberate about before we decide what direction we're gonna go?
As long as the staff here thinks that not notifying Orchard City is good to go. On their intergovernmental, you want this to be Orchard City or you're not? I know there's a intergovernmental agreement there.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, you're good
Orchard
with it,
City
so.
did submit the comments, I believe, for the water, so they are very
Correct.
well aware of it.
Yes,
Sounds great.
okay, so as long as they're aware, that's what would
Me
be more
too.
concerned about. Would somebody like to present a motion? Please.
I would motion that we approve PLN 23-056 Orchard Mesa Estates Phase 2 under the following conditions: that a traffic study and CDOT permit application be provided. That water tap application be completed, and that a fire hydrant be installed at the end of the cul-de-sac on Lilac Lane.
About running deer, everything get on it.
Okay.
Running Deer Road, he said at one time they were gonna pave it, is it, or what is that? The original deal, or?
Okay, so we have a motion put out by Todd with some conditions.
Second.
And I would like to go around or we could just do it as a group. Who, everyone approve this as a motion that we would like to submit? Say aye. Anybody that would not like to approve this?
You're saying approve with the recommendations.
With these excuse me, Matt, let me rephrase that. With the recommendations that Todd just presented to us. Would we like to approve that with those recommendations moving forward, is my question.
Well, I would second that first. That was.
Okay, so we,
We discuss and then do this.
well, we have discussed those three already. I mean, if there's something additional, let me know, but those three were the ones that
Yeah.
we've just all
I mean,
been
I would-
discussing.
I
Correct?
would, yeah, go with that.
Okay, so all in favor? Aye.
I,
Anybody opposed? Okay, so we are all in favor of moving forward with PLN 23-056 Orchard Mesa Estates Phase 2 with the recommendations that Mr. Todd Queen has presented. Thank you very much and thank you for coming this evening. You got it. Okay,
you.
thank you. Appreciate being an applicant. Thank you. Mr. Klein, thank you for being on the phone this evening.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
No, fire hydrants are already in. All the water systems are in.
Okay.
This is water.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that takes care of that agenda. I believe that Charles, you were here for something different than this subdivision. Okay, we'll let the applicants head out. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time with Peters.
Good, I
Yeah,
guess,
sure.
you want me to go
Right
ahead and
up here.
disconnect at this point?
Mr. Klein, what were you saying, sir?
Should I disconnect? at
That'd be
this
fine unless you want to
point?
listen in on this next item, but yes, your subdivision actually have made those recommendations and we'll put that forward to the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you for
Okay,
your time
I'll
this
just-
evening, sir.
I'll disconnect, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would you state your name and address for record, sir?
First name's Charles, last name's Churick. CHEREK, 5607 2000 road. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think you know me, most of them, except Tony. I'm Chuck Sherrick.
We all know you.
So I've been to a lot of meetings. I followed this whole thing. As you know or may not know, I have a solar application put in before the moratorium was put on. And I've been working on it. I've got, this is gonna be a twofold thing, so I need maybe 5 minutes for the whole thing. And I've been to a number of solar seminars, learned a lot about solar energy. My background is excavation, construction, aircraft, commercial pilot. Not too old to learn. So what we had going on was, it was approved last time, pretty much unanimously, but there were no plans. I asked for 2 years. I said, well, can I see some drawings? I mean, they're gonna spend $200-300 million. They must know where the lines are gonna go. And I was told all along, or threatened, if you will, that they're coming through my property. I've been working on this 120 acres for probably 12-14 years, you know, with excess machinery that I have. Built a beautiful lot in the back. I heard from Mr. Supas, not in my backyard, won't fly. Well, how about my backyard, side yard, front yard, and right through the middle of my property? And this is only for information. It's there are a couple things. At the end of the permitting thing, one of the commissioners had the foresight to look down the road and say, well, you can't block the gentleman's runway. You know, I built the runway, it's all in. And he said to Matt Pajruzaleski, I believe is his name, from Guzman, that you're gonna take care of Mr. Reed and Mr. Cherrick and the Lightfoots. And he said, yes. That in itself would give us, because they're not doing that, I gave him a 5-month free look at the property. As a good neighbor, buy me out, pay me for my damage, or let me do my farm. Because I have procured water to put in, I can save at least 80 acres of the property for a ranch. For things that I want to do. So all of that is up in the air, and now I'm getting feedback, and you know how hard it is to keep a secret in Delta County. Well, now they're talking about 97-foot high poles, because I only gave them a 40-foot easement. So not only does it ruin the lot in the back, it ruins the lot in the front, the barn, and everything else. That's where we stand on that. Now, what I would like to share with you guys, I think with all the time you put in and all the time you donate to the general public in Delta County, I would like you guys to ask the commissioners to give you about $3,500 a piece, because that's what it costs to do 2 seminars, because this is just the start of solar energy. But there's so much to learn. I couldn't share it with you in 6 hours. I mean, the books are this thick, the connections, and a lot of it's good and some of it's not good for the community. There's just different places. I bitched about it, pardon my language, from the get-go, that there were better places to put this instead of ruining the farm, but I'm only one person, so trying to be a good neighbor, you try to work with people. Well, when the CEO of Delta Montrose Electric says we have a deal, he drags me out for 5 months and reneges on it, something's wrong. Something's wrong. So now I've got 120 acres of nightmare. And it's not all that. I've got stuff that Delta County is trying to stonewall me on. Now I'm hearing that suddenly my permit that was put in place under the old rules, they're gonna try to pull it because of inactivity. When I build something, I have a model, I have plans. I'll be able to sit in front of you and tell you exactly what I'm doing. There's not gonna be any smoke and mirrors, but we're finding out that 2000 Road is kind of built on my property, along with the water line that goes down 2000 Road. No permits, no easements, no nothing. Most of my problems and the reason I can't move forward, twofold. I had Carl Holmes, when he got it approved, he hit the road. They gave me Angie. Angie worked with me, boom, Angie's gone. Then comes Austin Hansen. He lasted a couple months, boom, he's gone. So now I'm back to having to sit down with the commissioners to see what do you want to do about the water runoff? The fact that you blocked all the water on 2000 Road that's on my property. These are things that I have to straighten out before I come to you, because you're gonna say 6 months from now, well, Chuck, why didn't you take care of this? You know how to build stuff. Been in construction most of my life. So what I would like you to do is pressure these guys, as long as you're giving so much, to get some learning out of it, because this isn't the first solar farm that's gonna come. They're gonna be coming more and more and more, and they're changing the rules all the time. And it falls back on basically your fellow neighbors that have bought a piece of property in good faith, acquired water, worked with them, gave them an easement so they could run their fiber optic cable through the property on a line that had no easements. I gave them 40 foot. I don't know which way to turn. I mean, I know all these people kind of like my brothers and sisters, because I've spent so much time trying to figure out which way do you go? How do you design something? I mean, everybody has a plan. Even my dog has a plan when he's gonna escape. But if you could do that, I think it would help all of us down the road. And with the money they waste, if they don't have the money, what they should do is go to the applicant and say, if you've got $575 million to build a solar farm, you can pay to give us an education on how it works. That's about all I got to say. I think it's a thought anyway.
Yeah.
You know, why should you have to give any more than you're giving? I feel so sorry. I was gonna give you guys money for fuel out of my own pocket, buy you a credit card. But that'd probably be considered bribery. Anyway, I thank you for your time.
Even, I appreciate your input. Thank you for attending so many of our meetings.
Well, and I'm gonna be back a whole bunch because you know, I've got a long way to go and probably an
And you know,
uphill.
we've gone for right now to once a month, but we do have a special meeting time, just like we did this evening.
That's why I'm here.
Okay, cool. Well, that's why we did it.
I thought it was for people that were special. Thanks, guys.
You bet. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you. Okay, so let's department report. Kate, do you have something to add on department report stuff?
The only thing that I have to add is that we did get temporary help for our admin position. So that will be helpful with phone calls. She does not know everything yet. She started Monday. So,
Newbie.
yes, but,
Okay, that's okay.
she's good with speaking, good with public. So I don't think she'll have any issue picking up anything
Okay.
that needs to be communicated. So,
Okay.
and whether that'll go to full time or not, I do not know. We
Fingers
always hope.
crossed. Right
So,
person.
but that is very helpful for us.
Perfect. Okay. Anything on our future agendas that are coming up that we have on the next meeting?
Your next meeting is July 10th,
Uh-huh.
and you have one preliminary plat subdivision,
Okay,
and I believe it is 5 lots.
okay. Perfect. And we'll get the agenda for that like the week before, so Brittany's. Perfect. Anyone else have anything else to add this evening? Matt, thank you, by the way, for showing up and getting here so we could have a quorum. Thank you very much, sir. No, we greatly appreciate it. A little short today, but it worked
Thank you
out.
for all being here.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, if we have no further discussion, I'm gonna close this meeting. I'm gonna do a little tap. There we go. Okay,